A message from an unknown number lit up the phone screen. Chloe Emerson opened it, assuming it was just another spam text or promotion. But the very first lines made her freeze. Good afternoon. This is Max Donovan, the former owner of your condo. I apologize for the intrusion, but it's urgent. Check the closet in the master bedroom. On the top shelf behind the boxes. I left my old security camera up there. I accidentally logged into my cloud storage today and saw the latest recordings. You need to see this for yourself. It's important. Chloe read the message 3 times. Then a fourth. A camera. What camera? She and Arthur had moved into this condo just 2 days ago. She certainly didn't remember seeing any camera in the bedroom. Arthur had left for work early that morning. He'd kissed her on the cheek and promised to be back by dinner. The condo was dead silent. The only sound was the muffled noise of a neighbor's TV through the wall. Chloe checked the clock. 10:30. In the morning. It was an eternity before Arthur would be home. She got up from the couch and walked slowly into the bedroom. Her heart was beating faster than usual. Why was she so nervous? The previous owner forgot some electronics. It happens. She just needed to find the camera, contact him, and arrange to give it back. But something in the tone of the message clawed at her insides. You need to see this for yourself. What could possibly be on those recordings? The condo had sat empty before the sale. The realtor mentioned the previous owners had moved out a month before closing. The bedroom greeted her with the smell of fresh paint and new drywall. Arthur had insisted on doing some cosmetic renovations before they moved in. Even though the place was in great shape. I want everything to be perfect for my princess, he had said. Chloe had melted. A large sliding door closet took up the entire wall opposite the window. Chloe opened the doors and looked up. A pile of boxes with winter clothes sat on the top shelf. They hadn't unpacked them yet. She dragged a chair over, climbed up, and carefully began pushing the boxes aside. Behind the third box, tucked deep in the corner, right against the ceiling, she saw a small, black device. It was the size of a matchbox. A tiny, almost invisible camera. And its miniature lens was pointed directly at the bed. A cold shiver ran down Chloe's spine. She pulled the camera down, stepping off the chair. She turned the device over in her hands. She didn't recognize the brand. But it looked expensive. There was a faint manufacturer's logo and a serial number on the side. The camera was currently off. The battery had probably died. But the former owner wrote that he had accessed the cloud storage. That meant the footage had been saving automatically. Chloe walked back into the living room, sat on the couch, and stared at the camera. Her first instinct was to call Arthur, to tell him. But something stopped her. It was a strange, inexplicable feeling. That primal instinct that teaches women not to ignore red flags. Instead, she dialed the number that had sent the text. They answered after the second ring. Hello. The voice was male, pleasant, and slightly raspy. Hi. This is Chloe, the new owner of the condo. You texted me about the camera. A pause. Yes. Hello. Did you find it? I did. What exactly is on those recordings? Another pause. This one lasted longer. Listen. Chloe. I don't know how to explain this to you. I'm still feeling sick about it myself. I installed that camera 2 years ago. I had my reasons. When I moved out, I completely forgot about it. But yesterday, I accidentally logged into my old cloud account and saw there were new files. The camera was motion activated. It kept recording until the battery died. And what's on them? It's hard to describe. You really need to see it for yourself. I can send you the link to the cloud storage. Everything is saved there. Chloe swallowed hard. Send it. A minute later. Another text arrived. It contained a link and a password. She opened her laptop and entered the credentials. The cloud storage loaded, displaying a list of video files. The recordings were dated over the past 3 months. That included the period when the condo was supposed to be completely empty. Chloe found the earliest recording. The date was exactly 1 week before she and Arthur had first toured the condo. She clicked play. The familiar bedroom appeared on the screen. It was the exact spot where she had just been standing on the chair. Only the paint was different. And the furniture was arranged another way. 2 people walked into the room. A man and a woman. Chloe recognized the man instantly. It was Arthur. Her Arthur. Her live-in boyfriend. The man she had spent the last 3 years with. The man she had moved across the country for. Leaving her family and friends behind. He was here. In this condo. A full month before they officially came to look at it. Arthur was talking to a woman. She was a tall, striking blonde in an expensive trench coat. They stood in the middle of the room. From their body language, it was obvious they knew each other well. Very well. Everything is going according to plan. Arthur's voice came through the laptop speakers. She doesn't suspect a thing. Next month, we'll get the mortgage in her name. Then we'll handle the paperwork. The blonde laughed. Are you sure she's dumb enough? Chloe is sweet. She's an accountant. She's used to trusting numbers and documents. And our documents are going to be flawless. Chloe felt the blood drain from her face. Her hands, resting on the laptop, turned ice cold. She paused the video. Then she played it again. And again. There was no mistake. It was Arthur. His voice. His gestures. The way he tilted his head. And he was discussing her. Calling her dumb. Talking about a plan. Chloe closed the laptop and stared into space. 3 years. 3 years of building a life together. 3 years of believing every single word he said. Memories washed over her like a tidal wave. Now, every single one of them looked different. It was like someone had held a magnifying glass up to an old photograph, exposing every crack and flaw. They had met at a corporate mixer in Seattle. Chloe was working at a small accounting firm back then. She was modest. Quiet. She hated loud parties. But management had insisted. You need to network, Chloe, if you want to grow. Arthur had emerged from the crowd. Tall. Dark-haired. With a charming smile. He was the first to speak. Chloe had been surprised. Men like him didn't usually pay attention to women like her. You're the most beautiful woman here, he had said. And the saddest. Why is that? She had blushed and mumbled something incoherent. But he just laughed. Joked. And kept pouring her champagne. By the end of the night, she felt like she had known him her whole life. Then came the flowers. The fancy dinners. The romantic weekend getaways. Arthur was generous. He was attentive. He remembered how she liked her coffee. What movies she preferred. Even which days she usually got migraines. 6 months later, they moved in together. A year after that, he suggested moving to a new city. Chicago. There are more opportunities there. Arthur had told her. I found a great job. And with your experience, you'll find something easily. Chloe agreed. She loved him. Or at least, she thought she did. She quit her job. Said goodbye to her parents and her friends. Everyone told her she was crazy. But she didn't listen. And now, here she was. sitting in a stranger's condo, staring blankly at the wall. Her phone rang, making her jump. Arthur's name flashed on the screen. Chloe stared at it. She couldn't bring herself to answer. The ringing stopped, then started again. She finally picked up. "Hey. Sunshine," Arthur's voice was upbeat and carefree. "How are things? Did you unpack those boxes?" "Yeah." She forced the word out. "Almost." "Good girl. Listen. I'm going to be late today. We have an unscheduled meeting. I'll probably be home around 9. Order something for dinner." "Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Love you." He hung up without waiting for a reply. Chloe slowly put the phone down on the table. She had to do something. But what her first impulse was to call her mom. Or her best friend, Lily. To tell them everything. To cry. To ask for advice. But something held her back. Maybe it was shame. Maybe it was fear. Or maybe it was a stupid, lingering hope that she had misunderstood. That it was all a terrible mistake. That Arthur would come home and explain everything. Except, she had no intention of asking him to explain anything. Not yet. Chloe opened the laptop again and started reviewing the rest of the footage. There were dozens of clips. Arthur had visited the condo regularly. Sometimes alone. Sometimes with the blonde woman, whose name was Regina. They discussed documents, bank accounts, and schemes. Chloe listened to their conversations. With every passing minute, the picture became clearer. And far more terrifying. "Donovan turned out to be tougher than I thought," Regina said in one of the recordings. "Stubborn guy. But I squeezed him dry. The divorce is finalized. The condo is mine." "Well, it was mine. Now it's your turn." "Don't worry," Arthur replied. "Chloe is ready. She's been dreaming of owning her own place so badly. She won't ask any unnecessary questions. And in 6 months... In 6 months, she'll be left with absolutely nothing." Regina finished. "Just like Donovan." They both laughed. Chloe stopped the recording and closed her eyes. Donovan. That was the last name of the man who had texted her. Max Donovan. The former owner. The guy whose camera she was currently holding. That meant he was a victim, too. He had been conned by this Regina, who was apparently his ex-wife. She had taken him to the cleaners, taken the condo, and taken his assets. And now, she and Arthur were pulling the exact same scam on Chloe. Chloe remembered how Arthur had insisted the condo be put solely in her name. "It's safer this way," he had said. "You never know what might happen. This way, you'll have your own place. Your own safety net." She had actually been touched by his care. She thought he was being noble, selfless. But he was just setting a trap. The mortgage was in her name. All the paperwork was tied to her. And if something went wrong... Chloe suddenly went cold with a horrifying realization. She rushed to her bag and pulled out the folder of documents they had signed at closing. Her hands were shaking as she flipped through the pages. She found the mortgage agreement. She read through the lines. And with every word, she felt sicker. The loan terms. The interest rate. The penalty clauses. And then she saw it. Something she hadn't noticed before. An addendum in fine print on the very last page. A co-signer agreement. But the co-signer wasn't Arthur. It was an unfamiliar name. Ian B. Sterling. Chloe didn't know anyone named Sterling. She had never signed any agreement involving a co-signer. But her signature was right there at the bottom of the page. Except, She had no memory of signing this specific document. She remembered closing day at the bank. Arthur was right beside her, helping her navigate the endless stack of paperwork. Sign here. And here. And right here. She had signed blindly. She trusted him. Now. Chloe stared at this signature. It didn't look quite right. It was close. But not perfectly hers. The slant was different. The pressure was heavier. It was a forgery. Nausea washed over her. She grabbed her phone and dialed Max Donovan's number. Hello. He answered on the first ring. It's Chloe again. I watched the videos. Silence. I figured you would. He finally said. I'm so sorry. I need your help. We need to meet. Right now. Another pause. Okay. Where Chloe thought for a moment. Not at home. Absolutely not. Arthur could come back early. And honestly, she wasn't sure if there were other hidden cameras in the condo. There's a coffee shop on the corner near the subway station. The Corner Bakery. Do you know it? I'll find it. Give me an hour. 1 hour. She ended the call and started getting ready. The Corner Bakery was a small, cozy place. It had wooden tables and smelled of fresh pastries. Chloe arrived 15 minutes early. She took a table in the corner and ordered a tea she didn't even touch. Max Donovan walked in exactly on time. She recognized him instantly. He was tall and lean. In his early 30s. He had a tired face and sharp, observant, gray eyes. There was something in his gaze that she understood all too well. It was pain. Disappointment. Betrayal. Chloe. He stopped by the table. She nodded. Max sat down across from her and ordered a coffee. For a moment. They sat in silence. Just looking at each other. Did you watch all the footage? He finally asked. Most of it. Enough to understand. And what did you understand? Chloe took a deep breath. That my boyfriend is a con artist. That he works with your ex-wife. That they already pulled this scam on you. And now they're doing it to me. Max nodded. There was no surprise in his eyes. Only a bitter understanding. I'm sorry you ended up in this situation. Tell me everything. From the beginning. He paused, gathering his thoughts. Regina and I met 5 years ago. She was bright. Fun. Full of energy. I was working as an architect. Making good money. We got married a year after we met. Max gave a crooked smile. The first 2 years were great. Or at least, I thought they were. But then she changed. She got cold. Distant. She started picking fights over nothing. I thought it was just a rough patch. I tried to fix things. Suggested therapy. She refused. He took a sip of his coffee. And then she filed for divorce. Out of nowhere. Without warning. And that's when the real fun began. It turned out that during our marriage, she had managed to transfer half of my assets into her name. The condo. The car. The savings accounts. On paper. Everything was joint property. Except. I never signed those papers. Forged signatures. Chloe said quietly. Exactly. But try proving it. She had connections. Notaries. Lawyers. Everything looked flawless on paper. And you lost everything. Almost. I definitely lost the condo. The one you're living in right now. The court ruled it belonged to her. A month later. She sold it. To you and Arthur. Max shook his head. Not exactly. She sold it to a shell company. And that shell company sold it to you. So the paper trail leads to a dead end. Chloe rubbed her temples. Her head was pounding from the sheer weight of the information. Why make it so complicated? So you can't trace the connection between her and the buyers. If you ever found out the truth and started digging, you wouldn't find anything. Technically, the condo is clean. The sale is legal. But you still found the connection. I mean, only because of the camera. I installed it when I started suspecting Regina was cheating on me. I wanted to catch her red-handed. He let out a humorless laugh. I caught her. All right. Just not doing what I expected. Why didn't you go to the police? Max looked at her with a long, heavy gaze. I tried. I showed them the videos. Explained the scheme. Do you know what they told me? That private surveillance footage isn't admissible evidence. That it could be a deep fake or edited. They said they needed hard evidence. And I didn't have any. Chloe closed her eyes. So they won't help me either. They might help you. You have something I didn't. What's that? Max leaned closer. Time. And a warning. I found out about the fraud when it was already too late. The condo was sold. The money was gone. And Regina had vanished. But you're still in the middle of it. The sale is fresh. The documents can be contested. Especially if we find proof of the forged signatures. I have a friend. Chloe said slowly. Lily. She's a federal agent. She works in financial crimes. Max spoke it up. That's good. That's very good. But I'm not sure. Chloe hesitated. I don't know how to tell her. 3 years. You know. For 3 years I lived with this man. I believed him. And now I find out. Her voice broke. Her throat tightened. Max gently placed his hand over hers. I understand. I really do. When I found out the truth about Regina, I felt like a complete idiot. How could I not see it? How could I miss the signs? But you know what? It's not our fault. It's not our fault that we trusted people who didn't deserve it. Chloe looked up at him. His eyes held sympathy. And a depth of understanding she hadn't expected. Thank you. She whispered. For what? For warning me. You could have just forgotten about that camera. Max shook his head. No. I couldn't. I know exactly how it feels to be used like that. I didn't want anyone else to go through it. They sat in the coffee shop for another hour. They discussed the details and formed a plan. When Chloe finally checked her watch, she gasped. I have to go. Arthur will be home soon. Be careful. Max frowned. Don't let him know you suspect anything. Until we gather enough evidence. He can't know. I know. I'll call my friend. The sooner the better. Chloe nodded and stood up. Max. She paused. Thank you again. He smiled for the first time during their entire conversation. Hang in there. And call me if you need anything. Chloe walked out of the coffee shop into the evening twilight. The air was cool. Smelling of autumn and damp leaves. Cars honked in the distance. People were laughing. Life was moving on. Just as it always did. But her life had just been turned completely upside down. She walked toward the condo. Dreading how she was going to look Arthur in the eye. How she would smile at him. How she would pretend everything was fine. 3 years of lies. 3 years stolen from her. But no more. She would find a way out of this trap. Whatever it took. Arthur came home a little after 9. He looked tired but pleased with himself. Sorry. Sunshine. Got held up. He kissed her cheek and walked into the kitchen. What smells so good? Did you order pizza? Yeah. Chloe tried to keep her voice steady. Your favorite? Pepperoni. You're the best. He ate while talking about work, his colleagues, and their plans for the weekend. Chloe listened, nodded, and played along. All the while, she studied his face, looking for the cracks in his lies. Now that she knew the truth, everything looked different. His smile seemed fake. His sweet words sounded hollow. His touch felt repulsive. How could she not have noticed this before Chloe? "Are you okay?" Arthur frowned. "You look pale." "Just a headache." She lied. "Probably from the move. It's been chaotic." "My poor girl." He stroked her hair. "Let me make you some tea. With honey and lemon. Just the way you like it." "No. It's fine. I'm just going to go to bed early." "All right. Go rest. I'll clean up here." Chloe went into the bedroom and lay down on the bed without undressing. She closed her eyes. Right above her, on the closet shelf, a camera had been sitting just a few hours ago. The camera that recorded everything. The camera that exposed the lie. She thought about Max. How he had sat across from her with that tired, wounded look. He had been through this too. He had loved and trusted. And he had been betrayed. But he didn't break. He stood his ground. And now he was helping her. Chloe took out her phone and texted Lily. "Can we meet tomorrow? Urgent? We need to talk. It's important." The reply came a minute later. "Of course. Lunchtime. The usual spot." The usual spot. Chloe put the phone away and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow. Tomorrow, she would take action. But for now. She had to survive one more night, lying next to the man who had completely destroyed her trust. The morning started with a surprise. Chloe woke up to the sound of the doorbell. Arthur was still asleep, sprawled out on his side of the bed. She quietly slipped out from under the covers, put on a robe, and went to answer the door. A courier stood on the threshold holding a large box. "Chloe Emerson, yes. That's me. Sign here. Please." She signed the device and took the box. There was no return address. No identifying marks at all. "Where is this from?" The courier shrugged. "I just deliver 'em." He left. And Chloe stood in the hallway, holding the box, wondering what was inside. She carried it into the kitchen and carefully cut the tape. Inside were documents. Stacks of documents. Bank statements. Contracts. Copies of various agreements. And a note. Printed on standard computer paper. "This is what you need. Use it wisely." There was no signature. Chloe started sorting through the papers. With every page, her eyes grew wider. These were documents linking Arthur to an entire network of fraudsters. Money laundering schemes. Shell companies. Fake bills of sale. And names. So many names. Regina Donovan. The blonde from the video. ENP. Sterling. The mysterious co-signer from her mortgage agreement. Arthur Vance. Her supposedly loving partner. And several other names she didn't recognize. Who sent this Max? But he didn't know her unit number yet. Chloe heard footsteps in the hallway. She barely managed to shove the documents into a kitchen drawer before Arthur walked in. Morning. Sunshine. Arthur yawned, stretching his arms. What was that? A delivery. Yeah. Wrong address. I already sent them away. Gotcha. He rubbed his eyes. Making coffee. Already on it. She poured him a cup, smiling just like she always did. But inside, her stomach was doing flips. A volatile mix of fear, anger, and a strange new sense of resolve. Someone was helping her. Someone who knew way more about Arthur than she could have ever imagined. But who? At noon, Chloe met Lily at a small bistro near the Federal Building. Lily Nichols had been her best friend since college. They had studied economics together, shared an apartment, and survived terrible breakups and brutal finals side by side. Then life took them in different directions. Chloe went into corporate accounting. Lily, surprisingly, joined the FBI and became a financial crimes investigator. "You look terrible," Lily said by way of a greeting, sliding into the booth across from her. "What happened?" Chloe took a deep breath and started talking. Lily listened in absolute silence. She didn't interrupt. Slowly, her eyes shifted from a look of friendly concern to the sharp, focused gaze of a federal agent. When Chloe finished, her friend sat quietly for a moment, tapping her fingers on the table. "Show me those videos," she finally said. Chloe opened her laptop and typed in the cloud password. Lily watched, frowning, occasionally jotting down notes in a small pad. "And the documents? The ones you got this morning? Right here." Chloe pulled the thick folder out of her tote bag. Lily flipped through the papers. A very strange expression crept across her face. "You know what, Lily said slowly. "I don't think this is a coincidence." "What do you mean?" "Remember I told you about a massive real estate fraud ring my division has been tracking?" Chloe frowned. Lily had mentioned something about a major case 3 months ago. The last time they grabbed coffee. Vaguely. "The scheme is identical. The scammers gain the trust of their targets. Usually single people. Or couples with financial issues. They help them secure a mortgage or a massive loan. Then, a few months later, they kick the victims out on the street and liquidate the property. And you guys can't catch them. They're smart. Really smart. They cover their tracks and use shell companies." Lily paused, looking down at the table. "But now, Chloe, these documents. This is exactly what we've been missing. We have names, accounts, the entire money flow. If these are authentic, we can take down the whole syndicate." "Wait." Chloe held up a hand. "Are you saying someone intentionally sent me these files to help your federal investigation?" "Looks like it. But who and why me?" Lily shook her head. "I don't know. Maybe an accomplice looking to cut a deal. Maybe another victim who found a way to hack their system. Or, maybe, someone who has been watching you since the very beginning." A chill ran down Chloe's spine. "That sounds terrifying. But it makes sense." Lily leaned across the table. "Chloe, listen to me very carefully. What you've just uncovered is massive. We are talking about an organized criminal syndicate. These people are dangerous." "I know." "No. You don't." Lily gripped her hand. "You are living with one of them. Under the same roof. If he suspects for a second that you know something." Chloe swallowed hard. "What do I do?" "Nothing. Act completely normal. Don't give him a single reason to suspect you. I'm going to take this straight to my task force. We need time to verify all of this and set up a sting. How much time I don't know. A few days, maybe a week." A week. Chloe pictured spending 7 more days next to Arthur. Smiling at him. Sharing a bed with him. The thought made her physically nauseous. "I'll try. You can do this." Lily squeezed her hand tighter. "You are way stronger than you think. And you're not alone. I've got your back." Chloe nodded, even though her insides were shaking with fear. "Thanks, Lil. Don't thank me. It's my job." And you're my best friend. They hugged. For a brief second. Chloe felt like maybe things would be okay. Like she would survive this nightmare and see justice served. But as soon as she walked out of the bistro and headed home, the anxiety crashed over her again. Arthur. His fake smile. His sweet words. 3 years of absolute fiction. And who knew how many more surprises were waiting for her? The next few days dragged on like molasses. Chloe went to work. She cooked dinner. She talked to Arthur. And the entire time, she felt like a terrible actress in a cheap play. Every time he touched her, she felt repulsed. Every sweet nothing he whispered felt like a sick joke. But she endured it. She smiled. She played the part. Sometimes, she thought he suspected something. He started watching her more closely. He asked her if everything was okay more often. Or maybe she was just being paranoid. Chloe. You've been so tense lately. He said one evening. Did something happen? Just work stuff. She lied smoothly. The new manager is micromanaging everything. Maybe you should just quit. We have enough money. You can take some time off. We have enough money. Chloe wondered where it all came from. How many people had he robbed? How many families had he destroyed? I'll think about it, she said aloud. On the third day, Max called her. Chloe. We need to meet. I have news. What kind of news? Not over the phone. Same coffee shop. I'll be there in an hour. She made up an excuse for Arthur and left the condo. It was pouring rain outside. The heavy drops hammered against her umbrella and drowned out the city traffic. Max was waiting for her at the same table in the corner. Only this time, he looked even more agitated. I found something, he said. The moment she sat down. Or rather, someone. Who? He checked over his shoulder. Then leaned in. One of their past victims. A woman named Tara. They pulled the exact same scam on her 2 years ago. Where is she now, living with relatives out in the suburbs? She lost everything. The house. Her savings. Her husband. Her husband couldn't handle the stress and left her. She's completely alone. Chloe went cold. That's horrific. Yeah. But she agreed to testify. She told me exactly how it happened. How they met. How they gained her trust. How they bled her dry. And you know what the scariest part is? What Arthur isn't his real name. Chloe blinked. Excuse me. I ran a background check. Arthur Vance appeared in the public databases exactly 3 years ago. Before that, there is absolutely nothing. Zero historia. It's like he just materialized out of thin air. But how is that possible? He has an ID. A social security number. Forged. Probably high-level fakes. These people know how to manufacture identities that look flawless to the system. Chloe slumped back in her chair. The room spun. 3 years. She had lived with a man for 3 years. And she didn't even know his real name. Who is he really? She whispered. I don't know yet. But I will find out. Max's voice was pure steel. I'm going to find everything. They sat in the coffee shop until closing time, going over the details and formulating a plan. When Chloe finally got home, Arthur was already asleep. She stood in the bedroom doorway and looked at him. The man she had loved. The man she had trusted. The man she had never actually known. Who are you? She thought. Who the hell are you? There was no answer. Just the quiet sound of his breathing and the rain hitting the window. Chloe walked into the kitchen and poured herself a glass of water. Her hands were shaking. Tomorrow. Tomorrow, she would talk to Lily. She would tell her about Tara. And about the fake IDs. Maybe that would speed up the federal raid. But for now, she had to survive one more night. She was just about to leave the kitchen when she noticed something strange. Her phone was sitting right in the middle of the kitchen island. She specifically remembered leaving it in her purse. Chloe picked it up and checked the screen. No new messages. No missed calls. But in the background app history, someone had been scrolling through her text threads. Someone had opened her cloud storage app. Someone new. Chloe's heart dropped into her stomach. Arthur. He knew everything. She spun around. And there he was. He was standing in the kitchen doorway. His arms crossed over his chest. His trademark charming smile was gone. His face was cold. Hard. And furious. Interesting reading material. Wasn't it? He asked quietly. Chloe took a step back. Arthur. Shut up. His voice cut like a razor. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? You've been acting weird and jumpy for days. Whispering on the phone. Sneaking out to meet someone behind my back. It's not what you think. No, he let out a harsh laugh that sent a chill straight down her spine. Then what is it? Tell me. Chloe. Tell me what you saw on those videos. Tell me who you've been meeting with. Tell me who sent you those federal documents. So he knew about the documents. 2. Chloe swallowed hard. Arthur. Listen to me. No. You listen to me. He took a menacing step forward. You stuck your nose where it didn't belong. Now we have a major problem. And you are going to help me fix it. I am not helping you with anything. Oh. You will. Because if you don't, you are going to regret it. Chloe backed up until her spine hit the granite counter. Are you threatening me? I'm stating a fact. He stopped just inches away from her. His eyes were dark and terrifying. You know. Chloe. I actually liked you. I really did. I thought maybe. After this deal closed, we could actually stay together. But you just had to ruin everything. I ruined it, she whispered. Her voice trembling with anger. You lied to me for 3 years. So what? He shrugged casually. Everybody lies. The only question is why. I lied for money. You lied to yourself. Pretending you found true love. Tell me. Which one of us is more honest? In that exact moment. Something inside, Chloe snapped. Or maybe. It finally solidified. She stood up straight and looked him dead in the eye. You know what, you're right. I did lie to myself. For 3 years. I convinced myself you were the one. That we were going to be happy. That we were going to build a family. But you know what else, I am done lying. She shoved past him and marched toward the front door. Where do you think you're going? Away from you. Out of this condo. Out of this fake life. You're not going anywhere. He grabbed her arm. His grip was brutal. Digging into her bone. Chloe cried out. Let me go, I said. You are not going anywhere. There was nothing human left in his eyes. It was the cold, calculating gaze of a predator. Chloe tried to rip her arm away. But he held on entirely too tight. Help, she screamed at the top of her lungs. Scream all you want. The neighbors can't hear you. And then. The doorbell rang. Arthur froze. The bell rang again. Loud. Urgent. Demanding. Chloe. It was Max's voice coming through the heavy door. Chloe. Are you in there? Open the door. Arthur cursed under his breath. Your new boyfriend. You moved on fast. Let me go. Quiet. He dragged her backward toward the hallway. Clamping his hand hard over her mouth. Chloe kicked and thrashed. She bit down on his fingers. But he was too strong. The ringing didn't stop. Chloe. If you can hear me. I already called the cops. They'll be here in 2 minutes. Arthur cursed again. Louder this time. Damit. Damit. He shoved her away so hard she crashed to the hardwood floor. This isn't over. Hey, he said. You're going to pay for this. He sprinted toward the balcony. Chloe lay on the floor, gasping for air. She heard the glass door slide open. She heard the metallic clatter of the fire escape. Then, the sound of the front door lock breaking open. And voices. So many voices. Chloe Lily rushed in and dropped to her knees. Are you okay? Where is he? Balcony, Chloe gasped. Pointing. He went down the fire escape. Lily barked orders into her radio. Heavy boots pounded across the floor. Doors slammed. And then, Chloe felt a pair of hands. Gentle. Warm hands helping her sit up. It's okay. Max said. His voice thick with relief. You're safe. It's over. But Chloe knew the truth. It wasn't over. This was just the beginning. The next few hours blurred into an endless, chaotic loop. Interrogation. Statements. Answering questions on autopilot, while barely recognizing the sound of her own voice. Arthur had vanished. The Chicago PD searched the entire grid. But he was a ghost. They did. However, catch Regina. Lily and her tactical team arrested her at O'Hare International Airport. She was trying to board a flight to Dubai with a carry-on stuffed full of cash. She flipped almost immediately. Lily told Chloe later. As they sat in her federal office. Gave up the entire syndicate. Ian Sterling was picked up last night. 3 other accomplices were arrested this morning. What about Arthur? Lily's face darkened. Nothing yet. But we'll find him. He has nowhere to run. All his accounts are frozen. His fake passports are flagged. Sooner or later, he's going to surface. Chloe nodded. Her head was pounding with exhaustion. What happens to the condo? The sale will likely be voided. You'll get back whatever actual money you put into the down payment. We'll handle the mortgage fraud. There were massive bank compliance violations. So I'm homeless. Temporarily. Lily squeezed her hand. You can stay at my place until everything settles. Or go back to your parents. Her parents. Chloe imagined having to explain this absolute disaster to her mother. The thought made her nauseous. I'll think about it. She walked out of the federal building as evening settled over the city. The streetlights flickered on. It was a normal autumn evening. Just like hundreds of others. Only her life would never be normal again. Chloe. She turned around. Max was standing next to his car. Parked right by the curb. What are you doing here? Waiting for you. Just wanted to make sure you were okay. She gave a humorless laugh. Okay is a strong word. I get it. He paused. Listen. I know it's none of my business. But do you have a place to stay? My friend offered her couch. So that's good. They stood on the sidewalk in silence. Unsure of what to say next. Thank you. Chloe finally said. For everything. If it wasn't for you. And that camera. Don't mention it. I'm just glad I could help. Another pause. I should go. Chloe said softly. Yeah. Of course. Max reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a business card. Here. If you need anything. Call me. Anytime. She took the card. Their fingers brushed for a brief second. And suddenly, Chloe felt something strange. A flicker of warmth. A tiny spark of hope. Thank you. She repeated. Take care of yourself. Chloe. She watched him get into his car and drive away. Then, she pulled out her phone and dialed Lily's number. Hey Lily. Can I crash at your place tonight? Of course. Doors unlocked. Chloe put the phone away and walked slowly toward the train station. There was a long, incredibly difficult road ahead of her. But she would survive. She knew that now. She was going to be okay. A week went by. Chloe was living in Lily's small, one-bedroom apartment on the edge of the city. She slept on a pull-out couch. She woke up drenched in sweat from nightmares, where Arthur grabbed her arm and whispered violent threats in her ear. During the day, she worked. Her company had been understanding and allowed her to work remotely, only requiring her to come downtown for major meetings. In the evenings, she sat in Lily's kitchen, drinking tea and trying desperately not to think about the fact that her life was a pile of ruins. Still no sign of Arthur. It's like he evaporated, Lily said one night, tossing her badge on the counter after a long shift. We checked all his known contacts. Every safe house. Nothing. Do you think he left the country? Doubtful. His biometric data is flagged in every federal database. TSA would have grabbed him at the border. Lily frowned, pulling a beer from the fridge. He's probably laying low somewhere in the city. He definitely has backup fake IDs we don't know about yet. Chloe shivered. The thought of Arthur being somewhere nearby hiding, watching her made her sick to her stomach. Should I move back to my parents' house in Ohio? You could. But we can't protect you out there. Here. You're under local surveillance. Under surveillance, Chloe gave a hollow laugh. Like a high-value witness. Like my best friend. Lily corrected her gently. And yes. As a high-value witness. 2. Your testimony is the anchor of this case. Without it, Regina and the others might negotiate a plea deal. Chloe nodded. She understood. She knew she had to see this through to the end. But carrying this heavy, invisible burden was exhausting. On the 8th day, her mother called. Chloe. Honey. How are you holding up? Her mom's voice was tight with worry. Chloe still hadn't told her parents the whole truth. Just that she and Arthur had broken up and she was staying with a friend. I'm fine. Mom. Don't worry. How can I not worry? You're in a massive city. Completely alone. Sleeping on a couch. Why don't you come home for a little bit? Chloe closed her eyes. God. She wanted to say yes. To run away from all of this and hide in her childhood bedroom. Soon. Mom. As soon as I sort out a few legal things. I'll come visit. Promise, I promise. She hung up and stared out the window. A cold autumn drizzle was misting the glass. Soon. She had no idea when that was actually going to be. On the 10th day, Max called. Chloe. Hello. How are you holding up surviving? She smiled. Even though he couldn't see it. And you surviving too. Listen. I found something. Can we meet? What did you find? It's better if I show you. It's about Arthur. Or rather, who he was before he became Arthur. Chloe's heart skipped a beat. Where and when? They met at the corner bakery. Sam table. Max looked exhausted. But there was a fierce, determined spark in his eyes. I've been digging all week, he said, spreading a stack of printed files across the table. I pulled some old favors. Talked to a few private investigators. And this is what I found. He slid the first paper toward her. It was a mugshot of a young man. Maybe 25 years old. Chloe squinted at it and gasped. It was Arthur. Younger. with a different haircut. But it was undeniably him. Meet Vincent Price. Max announced. Born in Detroit. 36 years ago. Convicted of wire fraud in 2012. He got probation. After that, his trail goes completely cold. Officially, he died in a horrific car crash in 2015. He died on paper. Exactly. He faked his own death to start a brand new life under a stolen identity. Chloe stared at the mugshot. She felt flushed. Then freezing cold. Vincent Price. A convicted felon who had been legally dead for 8 years. And she had shared a bed with him for 3 of them. How did you find this? She whispered. A journalist friend of mine owed me a favor. He has backdoor access to old precinct archives. Max paused. And there's more. You weren't his first fake marriage. He placed a few more printouts on the table. Mary Costello. Seattle. 2016. Left completely bankrupt. Elena Shaw. Chicago. 2018. Same story. Irene Vance. Denver. 2020. Same exact thing. 3 women. 3 destroyed lives. And now. Chloe was the 4th. Are they all alive? She asked quietly. Yes. But not a single one of them pressed charges. They were terrified. Ashamed. They thought it was their own fault. Just like I did. Chloe said. Staring at the table. I thought I was just an idiot. That I was blind. You are not to blame. Max's voice was firm. He's a professional predator. He's been doing this his entire life. He knows exactly how to gain trust. How to manipulate. How to control. You just fell into his trap. Just like I fell into Regina's. She looked up at him. Did you blame yourself every single day? He let out a bitter chuckle. Until I realized it was a complete waste of energy. The guilt belongs to them. To Regina. To this Vincent guy. Not to us. They sat in silence. The waitress brought over the coffees they had ordered and quietly slipped away. So, what happens now? Chloe asked. I'm taking all this directly to your friend at the FBI. If they can tie all these historic cases together. This isn't just mortgage fraud anymore. This is a massive federal racketeering charge. RICO statutes. Entirely different ballgame. Different prison sentences. If they catch him. They will catch him. Max's voice was absolute. Sooner or later. Guys like him always slip up. They think they're smarter than everyone else in the room. But they're not. Chloe took a sip of her coffee. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. Or maybe she was just getting used to the chaos. Thank you. Max. For everything you're doing. Don't mention it. He hesitated. You know. When I lost my condo. I thought my life was completely over. That everything was ruined beyond repair. But then I realized. It wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a fight. And now. Helping you. I feel like I'm finally doing something that matters. Like none of it was for nothing. Chloe looked at him. At this tired, battle-scarred man. She felt a strange, profound connection. They had both walked through absolute hell. They had both lost their faith in people. And yet, against all odds, they were both still fighting. You're a good man. Max. You're a good woman. Chloe. Their eyes locked. For a split second. Time seemed to stand completely still. And then her phone rang. Shattering the moment. Chloe picked it up. Hello, Chloe. It's me. Lily's voice was razor-sharp with tension. Where are you? At the bakery. Why get back to my apartment? Right now. We have a situation. What happened? A heavy pause. He was spotted. Arthur. Someone saw him near your old condo. Chloe stopped breathing. What a neighbor called it in. Said she saw a guy matching your ex's description, pacing around the courtyard. Staring up at the windows. Oh my God. Don't panic. I have agents setting up a perimeter. But I need you back at my place. Behind a locked door. Do you understand me? Yes. Yes. I'm leaving now. She hung up and looked at Max in sheer panic. I have to go. What's wrong? He was spotted. Arthur. She swallowed hard. Near my old building. Max's face darkened. I'm driving you. You don't have to, I am driving you. He repeated. Leaving absolutely no room for argument. Please. She wanted to protest. But she looked into his eyes and changed her mind. There was genuine, fierce protection there. Okay. Thank you. They walked out into the misty rain. Max opened the passenger door for her, making sure she was safe inside. He didn't do it to be flashy. He just did it because it was the right thing to do. The drive was mostly silent. Chloe stared out the window at the passing city blocks. Arthur was out there. Watching. Waiting. What did he want? Revenge to silence her, or something worse? We're here. Max said. Pulling up to Lily's apartment complex. Thank you. Chloe hesitated. Holding the door handle. Max. Yeah. Be careful. If he knows we're talking. Don't worry about me. He smiled gently. For the first time in years. I can actually defend myself. She nodded. Stepped out of the car. And waved from the front steps. He waved back and drove away. Lily was pacing the living room like a caged tiger when Chloe walked in. Tell me everything. Where were you? Meeting with Max. He found Arthur's real file. His real name is Vincent Price. He's a convicted felon. Chloe quickly relayed everything she had just learned. Lily listened. Rapidly jotting notes in her federal notebook. This is massive. Lily said finally. This is exactly what we need. This ties the whole RICO case together. But what about the sighting? He was at my building. Lily sighed. Nothing concrete yet. The neighbor isn't 100% sure. Could just be a guy who looks like him. Could be paranoia. But you put agents on it. Just in case. Lily looked at her with dead serious eyes. Chloe. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Be careful. Do not go out alone at night. Do not meet anyone without telling me first. If you see anything weird. Anything at all. You hit my speed dial. Deal. But that promise turned out to be incredibly difficult to keep. The very next day. Her sister Olivia called from Ohio. Chloe, hey. Listen. I have a massive favor to ask. Can you take Timmy for a couple of days? Timmy was her 8-year-old nephew. Chloe adored him. He was a smart, curious kid with messy hair and eyes that were way too serious for his age. What happened? Liv, my company, is sending me on an emergency trip to Atlanta. My husband is already out of town visiting his parents. Mom said you were on a break from work right now. Her mom, of course, didn't know the actual truth. She just thought Chloe was taking a break after a bad breakup. Liu. I don't know if that's a good idea. Things are really complicated for me right now. Please. Hello? I have literally no one else to ask. It's just for 2 days. Timmy loves you. He's a good kid. He won't be any trouble. Chloe hesitated. On one hand, bringing a kid into a federal protection situation felt incredibly risky. On the other hand, What could happen in 48 hours? Lily was right next door. The FBI was watching the perimeter. And honestly, she loved Timmy. Maybe having him around would be a good distraction from her own dark thoughts. All right, she finally said. Bring him. Thank you. Thank you. You're a lifesaver. I'll drop him off tomorrow morning. Timmy arrived, dragging a huge backpack, stuffed with action figures, comic books, and clothes. His big brown eyes lit up the moment he walked in. Aunt Chloe. He ran and hugged her waist. Mom says we get to have a sleepover for 2 whole days. We sure do. Buddy. Chloe hugged him tight, breathing in the familiar scent of kid shampoo. We're going to have the best time. Olivia kissed him quickly and rushed off to catch her flight. Chloe locked the deadbolt. Where's Uncle Arthur? Timmy asked, looking around the small apartment. Clue froze. He's not here anymore. Did Heidi? No. No. She quickly corrected him. We just aren't together anymore. He moved away. Timmy nodded sagely. Like a little adult. Like Mom and my first dad. Chloe sighed. Kids were entirely too perceptive, sometimes. Something like that. Good. The little boy shrugged, tossing his backpack on the floor. I never liked him anyway. Really? Yeah. He smiled. But his eyes were serious. He smiled a lot. But his eyes looked mean. Like the bad wolf in cartoons. Chloe's heart ached. An 8-year-old boy had seen in 5 minutes what she had been completely blind to for 3 years. You're a very smart kid. Timmy. I know. He grinned. What are we doing today? The 2 days with Timmy flew by unexpectedly fast. They walked in a nearby park, watched superhero movies, and made homemade pizza using a YouTube tutorial. It came out looking terrible, but it tasted great. Timmy talked non-stop about school, his friends, and a new video game. Chloe listened, laughed, and felt something frozen inside her slowly start to thaw. His innocent joy was exactly the medicine she needed. On the second afternoon, something unexpected happened. They were walking back to the apartment building from the park when Timmy suddenly stopped dead in his tracks near the bushes. Aunt Chloe. Look, a kitty. Sitting under a lilac bush was a scrawny orange cat with a torn ear. It looked up at them with huge yellow eyes and let out a pathetic meow. He's so sad, Timmy said softly. He's probably starving. Can we feed him? Chloe wanted to say no. She had way too many problems to deal with right now. Why add a stray cat to the mix? But she looked at the cat's desperate little face and caved. All right. Stay right here. She ran into the corner bodega and bought a tin of cat food. When she came back, Timmy was already holding the cat in his arms. The cat was purring like an engine, rubbing its face against the boy's cheek. He loves me, Timmy announced happily. Aunt Chloe. Can we keep him? Timmy. I can't. This isn't even my apartment. I'm staying with a friend. Please. He's such a good boy. Look how sweet he is. The cat, as if understanding that its entire fate rested on this moment, looked at Chloe with an expression of sheer tragedy. Meow. It said. Very convincingly. Chloe sighed. Fine. But just temporarily. Until we find him a real home. Timmy cheered. The cat purred louder. And that is how Rusty entered Chloe's life. Timmy named him Rusty because his fur was the color of old copper pipes. Lily took the new roommate in stride. I work 14-hour shifts anyway. At least he'll keep you company while I'm gone. Rusty adapted to apartment life instantly. He was surprisingly smart. He figured out the litter box on day one. Knew exactly where his food bowl was. And quickly learned which furniture he was allowed to sleep on. But Rusty had one very specific, very strange trait. He absolutely despised men. When a male neighbor knocked on the door to borrow some sugar, Rusty hissed, arched his back, and bolted under the couch. When a male federal agent stopped by to drop off some paperwork for Lily, the cat did the exact same thing. But when Max called and asked if she wanted to grab lunch, Chloe invited him over instead. "I don't want to leave the cat alone just yet," she explained. "He's still getting used to the place." Max arrived carrying a brown paper grocery bag. Cheese, fresh bread, sliced turkey, and a bottle of wine. "I figured maybe we could just make lunch here," he said, looking a little shy. Chloe smiled warmly. "Great idea. Come on in." Rusty greeted the guest with severe suspicion. He watched Max from the safety of the couch, then slowly crept out and sniffed his shoes. Max crouched down and slowly extended his hand. "Hey there, buddy. What's your name?" "Rusty," Chloe answered. "We found him outside a couple days ago." The cat sniffed Max's fingers. He paused, as if making a very serious calculation. Then, suddenly, he pressed his forehead hard against Max's hand and started purring loudly. Chloe's eyebrows shot up in surprise. "Wow. That's weird. He normally hates guys. He usually runs and hides. Maybe I'm special." Max smiled, scratching Rusty behind the ears. "Maybe you are." Chloe watched him petting the rescue cat, and a wave of pure warmth washed over her. She liked this man. She liked his calm demeanor, his reliability, his quiet kindness. But was it right to feel this way? So soon after her entire life had imploded, they ate lunch together, talking about everything and nothing. The weather, books, their old careers. They actively avoided the heavy, dark topics hanging over their heads. And it was nice. It felt normal. "Thank you," Chloe said as Max was getting ready to leave. "For the food. And the company." "Thank you." He lingered by the front door. "Chloe, I just wanted to say, you are an incredibly strong woman. What you've been through would have completely broken most people. But you're still standing. You're fighting back. It's really inspiring." Chloe felt a rush of heat to her cheeks. "I'm just doing what I have to do." "No. You're doing a lot more than that." He looked at her with a deep, intense gaze, a look that made her heart race. "I'll see you later, Chloe." "Bye, Max." She locked the deadbolt and leaned her back against the door. What was that? What was she feeling? Rusty trotted over and rubbed against her shins. "You liked him, didn't you?" Chloe asked the cat. "Mister," Rusty replied. "Yeah. Me too." The next few days were quiet. Olivia returned from her trip and picked up Timmy, showering Chloe with gratitude. The boy was sad to leave. He had grown incredibly attached to his aunt and the orange cat. "Are you gonna come visit us in Ohio?" he asked, hugging her tight. "I promise. I'll be there as soon as I can. And bring Rusty, we'll see." Meanwhile, the federal investigation was accelerating rapidly. Lily came home every night with massive updates. Regina had fully flipped. She was naming every single accomplice in the ring. Ian Sterling, the document forger, had manufactured fake deeds, passports, and banking credentials for the entire syndicate. "We've unraveled a massive web," Lily said over takeout one night. "Dozens of properties across 5 different states. The damages are in the tens of millions. It's going to be a historic RICO case. And Arthur, Chloe asked. The same question she asked every single day. And the answer was always the same. Nothing yet. But on the 9th day, everything shattered. Chloe was home alone. Lily was at the federal building. Rusty was asleep on the windowsill. Chloe was sitting at her laptop, browsing remote job listings in other states. She was seriously considering starting completely over somewhere no one knew her name. Her cell phone buzzed. Unknown caller, ID. Chloe hesitated, her finger hovering over the screen. Finally, she swiped to answer. Hello, hey. Sunshine. The blood in her veins instantly turned to ice. That voice. That smug, terrifying, familiar voice. Arthur. Miss me? He sneered. Because I've really missed you. What do you want? Just a friendly chat. We have nothing to talk about. You're wrong about that. His voice dropped into a dark, threatening register. You stuck your nose in my business. You ruined my operation. You got my people arrested. Did you really think I was just going to walk away? Are you threatening me? I'm stating a fact. He paused, letting the silence hang heavy. I have a proposal for you. You call the feds. You recant your statement. You tell them you made the whole thing up because you were a bitter, jealous ex-girlfriend. And we walk away clean. Are you insane? No. Sweetheart. I am very sane. And I know exactly where you are right now. Your little Fed friend's apartment. 3rd floor. Windows facing the alley. Nice orange cat sleeping on the sill. Chloe bolted up from her chair and sprinted to the window. She peered through the blinds. The alley was completely empty. You can't see me, Arthur taunted. But I can see you. I see everything. You're bluffing. Want to test that theory? She stood frozen in fear. Her mind raced. He's here. He's outside. He's watching. What do you want? She forced the words through her tight throat. I just told you. Drop the charges. Disappear. Forget any of this ever happened. And if I don't, allons. Heavy pause. You know, Chloe. I've never been a violent guy. But you are forcing my hand. If you don't do exactly what I say, people are going to get hurt. Your Fed buddy Lily. Your new boyfriend Max. Your sister, Olivia, and that cute little nephew of yours. Chloe stopped breathing. Don't you dare touch them. I won't do a thing. If you're a good girl, the choice is yours. The line went dead. Chloe stood in the middle of the living room, staring blindly at her phone. Her hands were shaking so violently, she almost dropped it. He knew. He knew about Lily. He knew about Max. He even knew about Olivia and Timmy in Ohio. He had been tracking her this entire time. Stalking her. Gathering leverage. Her first instinct was to call Lily. To tell the FBI everything. But what good would it do? They hadn't been able to find him yet. What if he wasn't bluffing? What if he actually hurt her family before they caught him? Chloe collapsed onto the couch and buried her face in her hands. What do I do? What do I do? Rusty jumped down from the window, trotted over, and hopped into her lap. He started purring loudly, nudging his wet nose against her hands to comfort her. What do I do? Rusty, she whispered, petting his orange fur. How do I protect them? The cat didn't answer. He just purred louder and bumped her wrist. Chloe sat there for a long time. Finally, she picked up her phone and dialed Max. Hello, Max. It's Chloe. I need your help. What happened? His voice instantly went sharp. He called. Arthur. He threatened me. He threatened my family. I'm on my way. Don't go anywhere. He arrived 20 minutes later. Looking breathless and panicked. Tell me everything. Word for word. Chloe recounted the chilling phone call. Max listened. His jaw clenching tighter with every sentence. He's watching the apartment. Max said grimly. Are you sure? He described the cat in the window. He's got eyes on the place. Max started pacing the small living room. We need to call Lily right now. No, Max. I'm terrified. If he finds out I told the FBI. What if he actually goes after my sister? Max stopped pacing. He knelt in front of her and took both her shaking hands in his. Chloe. Look at me. He held her gaze firmly. Men like him feed on fear. The more terrified you are, the more powerful he feels. But if you stop being afraid, if you fight back, he loses all his leverage. That's easy to say. I know. He squeezed her hands tightly. But you are not alone. I am right here. Lily is right here. The entire FBI is looking for him. We are going to stop him. She looked into his eyes. They were warm. Solid. Reliable. Slowly. The paralyzing terror in her chest began to recede. It didn't vanish completely. But it shrank into something manageable. Okay. She breathed. What do we do? First, we tell Lily. Second, we figure out where his vantage point is. And third, we set a trap and catch him. Catch him, yes. A dangerous, predatory spark flashed in Max's eyes. No more running. We go on the offensive. Lily took the news incredibly seriously. I'm tripling the detail on this building, she said, pacing her kitchen. I'm calling the Cleveland field office right now to put a protective detail on your sister's house in Ohio. And Max, I'm putting a unit on you. Too. He already knows I'm here. Max pointed out. He was sitting on the couch next to Chloe. Lily looked at the two of them sitting shoulder to shoulder. I can see that, she said, her tone softening slightly. Good. Glad you're keeping an eye on her. Safety in numbers. Chloe felt her cheeks heat up. There was no time for blushing. Though, they went into full lockdown mode. Lily coordinated with local PD to sweep the neighboring buildings for any unauthorized roof access or vacant units. Max, having a background in architecture and building management, legally gained access to the external security feeds from the neighboring condo association. And then, they waited. Arthur didn't call back. Maybe he realized his intimidation tactic hadn't worked. Or maybe he was planning his next move. Chloe didn't leave the apartment. She worked from her laptop at the kitchen table. Rusty was her constant shadow, sleeping by her feet or on her paperwork. And Max came over every single day. Sometimes he brought groceries or coffee. Sometimes he just sat on the couch, reading a book while she worked. Sometimes he helped Lily review surveillance footage on a secure monitor. Chloe grew incredibly used to his presence. More than that, she looked forward to it. She felt a leap of genuine joy. Every time he knocked on the door, she told herself it was wrong. Too soon. Too fast. She had just escaped a highly manipulative, abusive relationship. She needed time to heal, to find herself again. But when Max smiled at her, when his hand accidentally brushed hers passing a coffee mug, her heart completely ignored the logic in her brain. On the 6th day of lockdown, the unthinkable happened. Chloe was home alone. Lily was at the federal building. Max had promised to come over later that evening for dinner. She was typing an email when the doorbell suddenly rang. She wasn't expecting anyone. "Who is it?" she called out through the heavy door, keeping the deadbolt locked. "Delivery." A muffled voice answered. "Package for Emerson." "I didn't order anything." "Sender is Donovan." "M. Donovan. I just need a signature." "Max. Did he send her something?" Chloe hesitated. She checked the peephole. Standing in the hallway was a guy in a standard brown delivery uniform, holding a digital clipboard and a small box. She unlocked the deadbolt and cracked the door open. Everything happened in a fraction of a second. The delivery guy abruptly stepped aside. And from the blind spot in the hallway, Arthur lunged forward. Chloe tried to slam the door, but he was too fast. He slammed his shoulder into the wood, throwing the door wide open. He burst into the apartment and grabbed her violently by the throat. "Hey, sunshine," he hissed, his face inches from hers. "Miss me?" Chloe tried to scream, but his grip crushed her windpipe. Dark spots danced in her vision. "Did you really think you could hide from me?" He shoved her back against the drywall. He let out a dark, manic laugh. "You naive idiot." She clawed desperately at his hands, kicking her legs. It was useless. He was massive. "You're going to walk out of here with me. Nice and quiet," he growled. "And when we get somewhere safe, you're going to write out a full confession. You're going to say you made the whole federal case up. And then..." He never finished his sentence, because an orange blur launched itself off the top of the bookshelf directly at Arthur's head. "Rusty." The cat let out a demonic yowl. He latched all 4 sets of claws deeply into Arthur's face and neck, biting down hard on his ear. Arthur screamed in sudden, blinding agony. He dropped Chloe instantly, stumbling backward as he tried to rip the furious, shredding animal off his face. Chloe hit the floor, gasping for air. She didn't hesitate. She scrambled on her hands and knees to the coffee table, grabbed her phone, and hit the emergency panic button Lily had installed on her home screen. Arthur finally managed to grab Rusty by the scruff and hurl him across the room. The cat hit the wall with a thud, but instantly landed on his feet, hissing and arching his back, preparing to launch a second attack. Arthur turned back to Chloe. His face was covered in deep, bleeding scratches. "You're dead," he roared. He lunged for her, but stopped dead in his tracks. Standing in the open doorway was Max. "Step away from her," Max said. His voice wasn't loud, but it possessed the cold, heavy weight of absolute steel. "Oh. Look. Another hero," Arthur sneered, though the panic in his eyes was evident. "What are you going to do about it?" "Exactly what you did to my life. Only a lot faster." The 2 men locked eyes. 2 men connected by a web of fraud, stolen lives, and the woman standing between them. And then the sirens hit. A deafening wail of federal sirens swarming the street below. Lily and 3 armed FBI agents breached the hallway a minute later. They threw Arthur face first onto the hardwood floor and cuffed him tightly behind his back. He screamed about his lawyers, about police brutality, about his rights. No one listened. Chloe stood leaning against the wall, watching them drag him out. Her entire body was shaking from the adrenaline dump, but her mind was crystal clear. It was over. It was finally completely over. Max crossed the room and pulled her into his arms. He held her tight. Safe. Secure. And Chloe broke down. For the first time in weeks, she cried. Not out of fear. Not out of despair. Out of pure Overwhelming relief. Rusty trotted over and rubbed his head against her ankles. Me giro. Chloe whispered through her tears. Reaching down to pet him. Miser. The cat agreed. Lily finished coordinating with her team and walked over. You alive? Thanks to the cat. Lily looked down at Rusty with genuine respect. I should give him a federal medal. I think he'd prefer wet food. They laughed. It was a nervous, hysterical laugh. But it was real. He's in custody, Lily said, her face turning serious. And this time, he's not getting out. We have the lobby footage of the break-in. The assault. The witnesses. He is looking at decades in federal prison. Good. You need to rest. You'll give your official statement tomorrow. I'll have an agent stay at the door. I'll stay with her, Max said quietly. If that's all right. Lily looked at Max. Then at Clue. And smiled softly. Yeah. That's all right. When the agents cleared out, the apartment was quiet. Just Chloe, Max, and the cat. Thank you, Chloe said, sitting on the couch. For showing up. How did you know? I was pulling into the parking garage. Saw the fake delivery guy heading to your floor on the lobby monitor. I knew it was a trap. He sat next to her. You could have been killed. So could you. He shrugged. I couldn't just leave you. Their eyes met. And this time, Chloe didn't look away. Max. Thank you. For everything. He smiled. A warm, genuine smile. You're welcome. They sat on that couch until 3 in the morning. Talking. Sitting in comfortable silence. Watching the city lights through the window. And Chloe felt something shift permanently inside her. The fear was gone. In its place was something new. Something bright. Something that felt exactly like hope. The federal trial for Vincent Price, formerly known as Arthur Vance, took place 3 months later. A lot had changed in those 3 months. Chloe had landed a fantastic new job as a senior accountant for a major firm in downtown Chicago. She rented her own apartment, small, but flooded with natural light. Rusty moved in with her. Of course. Max helped her move. He built her IKEA furniture, hung her shelves, and bought her a coffee maker. They spent almost all their free time together. Chloe knew it was no longer just friendship, but she didn't rush it. And he didn't push. They were just together. And for now, that was enough. One evening, a week before the trial, Max showed up with a bottle of wine and a bouquet of flowers. What's the occasion? Chloe asked. Letting him in. Celebrating the fact that it's all over. Or almost over. The trial hasn't started yet. It will. And he'll get exactly what's coming to him. They sat at her kitchen island, drinking wine and looking out at the city skyline. Chloe, Max said suddenly. I need to tell you something. She looked at him. I'm listening. He took a deep breath. I know the timing might be terrible. I know you just survived a nightmare. And I know you probably need time to heal. But I can't keep it to myself anymore. Max, please. Let me finish. He exhaled. From the moment I saw you in that coffee shop. Terrified. But so incredibly brave. I couldn't stop thinking about you. At first, I thought I just wanted to help. But then I realized it was a lot more than that. He reached across the counter and took her hand. You are an incredible woman, Chloe. And I'm in love with you. I know it sounds crazy. I know you have every right in the world to never trust a man again. But I need you to know. I am not him. I will never hurt you. I will never lie to you. I will never betray you. Chloe sat in stunned silence. Her heart was hammering against her ribs, so loudly, she was sure he could hear it. I'm not asking for an answer right now. Max added quickly. I'm willing to wait as long as it takes. I just needed you to know. She stared at him. This man who had walked into her life out of nowhere and become her absolute rock. The man who stood by her in her darkest moments. The man who had literally saved her life. She realized she didn't want to wait anymore. Max. She said softly. Yeah, me too. He blinked. Confused. You too, what I'm in love with you. Too? A heavy, ringing silence filled the kitchen. And then. He smiled. A smile brighter than she had ever seen. He leaned across the granite counter and kissed her. It was gentle. Careful. As if he was afraid of breaking her. Chloe closed her eyes and kissed him back. She felt the heavy ice that had encased her heart for years finally melt away completely. Rusty jumped onto the counter. Looked at them with an approving squint. And purred loudly. The trial was a media spectacle. Vincent Price was found guilty on all federal charges. Wire fraude. Racketeering. Grand larceny. Identity theft. And assault. The judge handed down a brutal sentence, 12 years, in a federal penitentiary, without the possibility of early parole. Regina took a plea deal and got 8 years. Ian Sterling got 6. The rest of the syndicate got between 3 and 5. Chloe sat in the gallery, testifying under oath, and watching the judge read the verdict. Lily and Max sat right behind her in the front row, offering silent support. When the bailiff ordered Vincent to stand and cuffed his hands to a waist chain, he turned and looked at Chloe. His eyes were pure, venomous hatred. But Chloe didn't look away. She stared back at him with absolute, unbreakable calm. He was the one who broke eye contact first. That's it, Lily said as they walked down the marble steps of the federal courthouse. It's really over. Yeah. Chloe breathed out. It's over. Max wrapped his arms securely around her waist. Let's go home. Let's go home. They walked toward the car. The afternoon sun warmed their backs. Ahead of them was a brand new life. A clean slate. And Chloe knew, with absolute certainty, that everything was going to be okay. 6 months passed. Winter melted into spring. And spring bloomed into summer. Chloe was thriving. She wasn't the terrified woman hiding from an abuser anymore. She was strong. She was successful. And she was deeply in love. Her relationship with Max grew naturally, rooted in deep mutual respect. They didn't rush. They just lived. They went to movies, walked along the lakefront, and cooked dinners together. Sometimes he stayed at her place. Sometimes she stayed at his. Rusty accepted Max as his secondary human. He greeted him at the door and slept on his lap during movie nights. I think your cat likes me more than he likes you, Max joked one evening. I think you might be right. Chloe laughed. It was so easy. So natural. After the psychological torture of her past, Chloe had been terrified she would overanalyze every word a man said to her. But Max was completely transparent. He didn't promise her the moon, he just showed up when she needed him. By late autumn, Chloe knew she was ready for the next step. They were sitting in her kitchen, which was practically their kitchen now, since half of Max's stuff was already there. Max, she said over coffee, I want to ask you something. He looked up, his gray eyes attentive. What's up? Move in with me. Officially. He blinked. Are you sure? Yes. She smiled warmly. I want to wake up next to you every day. I want to argue about whose turn it is to do the dishes. I want a real life with you. Max stood up, walked around the island, and pulled her into his arms. I thought you'd never ask. He kissed her, and Chloe laughed against his lips. The move only took a few days. Max didn't have much furniture. He had been living like a minimalist since Regina took everything he owned. It all felt temporary before, he admitted while unpacking a box of books. But this feels real. While organizing the hall closet, Chloe found an old photo album. She opened it and saw a picture of a serious-looking 10-year-old boy standing next to his parents. Is this you? She asked. Yeah. That's Mom and Dad. His voice dropped. They're gone. Mom passed 5 years ago. Dad. 3. I'm so sorry. Max. Sometimes I think it's for the best. They didn't see what happened to my life. The divorce. Losing the house. Mom would have been devastated. Chloe took his hand. But they would have seen you survive it. They would have seen you rebuild. And they would have seen you find happiness. He looked at her, his eyes softening. Thank you. For what? For existing. Winter arrived early in Chicago. By November, the city was covered in a thick blanket of white snow. The streets sparkled with holiday lights. Chloe loved this time of year. She loved the smell of pine, the holiday markets, the feeling of anticipation. This year, she had a lot to be thankful for. She had just been promoted to lead financial analyst. Her apartment felt like a real home. Rusty had gotten incredibly fat and lazy. And Max was by her side. A week before Christmas, Max asked her to take a drive out of the city. Where are we going? She asked. Watching the snow-covered fields of upstate Illinois fly by. You'll see. They pulled up to a beautiful, unfinished A-frame cabin sitting right on the edge of a frozen lake. The woods around it were completely silent. What is this place? Max paused. This is the house I was designing for myself. Years ago. Before everything happened. Chloe looked at the cabin with new eyes. It had massive A-frame windows, a wraparound deck, and a stone chimney. It's stunning. Max. I never finished it. The money ran out. And then life got in the way. He turned to her and took both of her hands in his. But I want to finish it now. For us? Chloe's breath hitched. For us. Yes. He dropped down onto one knee. Right there in the snow. Chloe. I love you. I love you more than I ever thought was possible. You are the absolute best thing that has ever happened to me. And I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Here in this cabin. Or anywhere else in the world. As long as it's with you. He pulled a small velvet box from his coat pocket and popped it open. Chloe Emerson. Will you marry me? She stared down at him. The man kneeling in the snow, holding out a diamond ring. Everything she had suffered, the betrayal, the fear, the lies, suddenly felt a million miles away. It had all led her to this exact moment. To him. Yes. She choked out through happy tears. Yes. Yes. He slid the elegant diamond ring onto her finger, stood up, and spun her around in the snow. They laughed as the snowflakes fell on their hair and shoulders. The wedding was set for late May. Chloe wanted a small, intimate ceremony. No massive banquet. No extravagant fluff. Max completely agreed. It's not about the party, he said. It's about us. Lily proudly accepted the role of maid of honor. I finally get to see you get a happy ending, Lily said as they picked out floral arrangements. You deserve this more than anyone I know. Chloe's parents flew in from Ohio. Her mom cried tears of joy the entire weekend. Her dad shook Max's hand firmly. "Take care of my girl. She's one of a kind." "I promise," Max said. And he meant every word. Olivia and Timmy came, too. Timmy was thrilled to be the ring bearer. "Aunt Chloe, can I hold the rings on a pillow?" he asked. "You sure can, buddy." Rusty naturally stayed home, though he did give Chloe's wedding dress a thorough sniff of approval before she put it on. The ceremony took place on the deck of the newly finished lake house. The water was glittering under the afternoon sun. The guest list was tiny. Just immediate family. Lily. A few close friends. And one very special guest. Tara. The victim from Seattle whom Max had tracked down. Chloe had invited her personally. "I wanted to thank you," Tara told Chloe before the ceremony. "What you did took incredible courage. You stopped him. You saved other women from going through what we did. We stopped him together." Chloe corrected her gently. Tara smiled. "I started my life over, too. I got remarried. I'm happy again. I'm so glad you got your happy ending." The ceremony was short and beautiful. Standing under a wooden archway, holding Max's hands, Chloe recited her vows. Her voice didn't shake once. "I pronounce you husband and wife," the officiant said. "You may kiss the bride." Max kissed her deeply, and the small crowd erupted in applause. Timmy cheered loudly. Lily wiped away a tear. The reception was a backyard barbecue under string lights. They drank beer, ate cake, and danced on the wooden deck until midnight. When the guests finally left, Chloe and Max stood on the porch, looking out at the moon, reflecting on the water. "Well, wife," Max smiled, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Yes, husband. Welcome home." That autumn, Chloe received unexpected news at a routine doctor's appointment. "You're pregnant." Her doctor smiled. "About 6 weeks along." "Congratulations." Chloe walked out of the clinic in a complete daze. She sat in her car, dialed Max's number, and immediately burst into tears. "Chloe, what's wrong? Are you okay, Max?" "I'm pregnant." A deafening silence hung on the line. "What?" he whispered. "We're having a baby." She heard him let out a breathless, booming laugh of pure joy. He left his architectural firm in the middle of the day and drove straight home to celebrate. The pregnancy went smoothly. They moved into the lake house permanently. Rusty adapted to the country life, spending his days napping in the sunroom. Lily drove up to visit almost every weekend, bringing FBI gossip and way too many baby clothes. "You are literally glowing," Lily told her one afternoon on the porch. "You look incredibly happy." "I am. Good. You earned every second of it." Lily took a sip of her beer. "By the way, got an update on the case. Regina's appeal was denied by the federal circuit judge. She's serving her full 8 years. Good. And Vincent? He's been transferred to the federal medical facility in Missouri. Kidney failure." Chloe thought about the man who had lied to her for 3 years. The man who had been a monster in disguise. She waited for a rush of anger or pity, but she felt absolutely nothing. Just a total, echoing emptiness. He was a ghost. "That's in the past," Chloe said, looking out at the lake. "I only care about the future." Their daughter was born on a snowy night in February. They named her Anna, after Max's mother. She had Max's gray eyes and Chloe's bright smile. Max was a natural father. He woke up for the 3:00 a.m. feedings. Changed diapers without complaining. And sang terrible, off-key lullabies that somehow put the baby right to sleep. "Are you happy?" Chloe asked him one night as he rocked Anna in the nursery. "Happier than I've ever been in my entire life," he whispered, kissing his daughter's forehead. "And you?" "So happy it actually scares me sometimes." "Don't be scared." He smiled, pulling Chloe into his side. "This is real. This is our life. And it's not going anywhere." A few months later, Chloe received a letter in the mail. It had a federal penitentiary return address. She held the envelope for a long time before finally tearing it open. It was from Vincent. "Clou." He wrote in messy handwriting. "I don't know if you'll even read this. You'll probably throw it away. But I had to write it. You have a lot of time to think in here. I've been thinking about my life. About what I did. I'm not going to ask for forgiveness because I know I don't deserve it. I just wanted to say you were right. I was a monster. And now I'm paying for it. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be." Vincent. Chloe stared at the paper. She didn't feel a surge of triumph or vindication. She just calmly folded the letter, walked into the kitchen, and dropped it into the trash can. She didn't write back. There was no point. That man belonged in the past. That evening, as the sun set over the lake, Chloe sat on the back deck watching Max teach a 10-year-old Timmy how to cast a fishing rod off the dock. Anna was babbling happily in her playpen. Rusty was stretched out in a patch of warm sunlight. Chloe took a deep breath of the fresh evening air. It had taken her years to find her place in the world. She had walked through a nightmare of lies, manipulation, and terror. She had lost her trust in humanity. But she didn't break. She fought back. She reclaimed her life. And in the end, she found exactly what she was looking for. A true partner. A beautiful family. And a home. Max reeled in the fishing line, scooped Anna out of the playpen, and walked up the wooden stairs toward the deck. He looked at Chloe, his eyes full of absolute love. "Ready to go inside?" he asked. "Yeah." Chloe smiled, taking his hand. "Let's go home." Thank you for watching. Dear friends, if you enjoyed the story, please support us with a like or a thumbs up. It only takes one click, but it means a lot to us. Thank you in advance.